Good evening, viewers, and welcome to MEA TV and Radio Spotlight with Jay Dallo tonight of Dallo Martial Arts. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Good to be here. Thanks.
So Jay Dallo is an attorney out of Birmingham. He's practicing law for the last 10 years, immigration law. But Jay's an interesting guy. He's not a normal attorney by any means, although he does defend people in the courtroom. Jay has a passion outside of the courtroom, and tonight that's our feature, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight outside of the courtroom. So Jay, before we get involved in Dallo Martial Arts and what you do and helping others empower themselves, tell us a little bit about the legal world, where you represent your clients, and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Sure. So, as you were saying, my passion is martial arts, but another dream of mine was to help the community, and not just the Chaldean community, the Middle Eastern community, and a lot of ethnic communities. So that's why I got into being an immigration attorney. Being an attorney itself was a dream of mine, and so the immigration side of things is how I was able to kind of help that side of the community. The criminal defense side, I also wanted to do that to help everybody, to be able to defend everybody that I could. And so that's why I ended up I chose to become a criminal defense and immigration attorney instead of maybe becoming a prosecutor or something like that, because I wanted to be on the private practice side representing people unjustly accused of matters.
And so you've been doing that for the last...
since 2009.
Since 2009,
yeah,
on a full-time basis.
Full-time.
Going from court to court, representing your clients and doing a good job defending them in court.
Right, that's right.
But after you leave your day-to-day job,
Yeah.
right, you go somewhere in the evening that you've been doing for 20 years. Tell us a little bit more about that and how Dallo Martial Arts came to be.
You got it. I mean, yeah, like you said, 20 years before I was ever an attorney, before I ever even went to college or anything like that, I was studying martial arts ever since really age 14, studying on my own, reading the books, understanding philosophy, methodology, and the different arts. And then it wasn't until I graduated from high school in 1995 where I started to actually take up training under one of Bruce Lee's proteges, the protege, Guru Dan Inosanto out of Los Angeles, California. He actually came to Michigan and was conducting a seminar. So I went to the seminar, and the rest is history. Went to the seminar, was hooked on the material, was hooked on his teachings and things like that. And so I said, that's it. This is what I've been looking for all my life. And so I stuck with it, never let it go. And that was it. And I was balancing things like going to college and still training, going to law school and still training, taking the bar exam, and maybe putting some time off of training so you could take the bar exam. But I was, as much as I could, I tried to balance both, but still training very hard in the martial arts to the point where I became captain of the University of boxing team, as you know, kickboxing and other competitive level events.
Being that you were disciplined enough to, first of all, complete law school, then take the bar, pass the bar, and be an attorney, how has practicing martial arts helped you discipline your life and your schedule? Because it's busy just like everybody else's, but how has that helped you to balance your day-to-day?
Yeah, and that's so important, what martial arts has done for me, because it's got things that you have to learn, and you don't learn them, you don't become good at them, you have low acumen unless you train at it. Your prowess isn't that deep unless you train at it. So what it taught me is I carried that kind of discipline and that kind of control into everything else I did. So of course, naturally becoming a law student, it taught me that sort of focus. And so I attributed that kind of focus to martial art training.
And as you were coming up the ranks and learning from a very young age, you said 14 is when you started, did you always know that you wanted to be an instructor? How did you develop the mindset of, okay, I'm a student today, but I'm also learning because I want to help others empower themselves? How did that concept come to mind for you?
Honestly, I think that flowed naturally. I never said, I want to, become an instructor one day. It didn't happen like that per se, like the way we might think of it. I always found myself, whether it was in an organization or something like that. For example, when I was in law school, something I didn't even envision it, but I was elected as president of the Student Bar Association. That's the largest association in law school. And I became president without ever having held any prior offices. And I didn't see that coming. I think what happened is maybe even my classmates around me, they saw that innate leadership, and they wanted me to be, they elected me president. So I think what happened, to answer your question regarding being an instructor, how did it happen? I think the way I trained in the arts, reaching a certain level that others kind of wanted to be at. So then using that leadership ability and ability to communicate with other people and saying, you know what, being an instructor in this is a natural fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In most ethnic homes, it's kind of uncommon for our generation, first generation, second generation people to kind of grow up outside of working when school's over, right? Most of us are taught, hey, school's over, you got to help the family in the store and the place of business or whatever they do. Yeah. Was it difficult for you to kind of educate your family on the importance that martial arts played in your life, and how was that such an important role in you being a professional?
Right. So again, like, awesome question. The thing about that, of course, my parents, in their desire to want the best for me, wanted me to become something of myself that traditionally they thought was respectful and was noble and things like that. So, just like so many other cultures, being a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, those are that's the thing. That's the highest level of educational and professional achievement. So they pushed me into that. Yes, I wanted to do that. Explaining the martial arts in the beginning was very hard, because just like a friend or anyone that you might know that might want to convince his parents, I want to play basketball, I want to be on the baseball team. When you go to high school, that's not really what, if your parents are kind of school oriented and academically oriented toward you, those kinds of things to them are a waste of time. Why are you going and playing a game when you could be studying and achieving the best grades? Then you go to the best school, and then et cetera follows, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, it is challenging. The awesome thing is, I think I've built an awesome credibility with my family, because they look at me now and they say, okay, he is an attorney. He's been practicing 6 years now. He's running his own law office. He's not begging for money or anything like that. So he's doing okay. So maybe we got to respect his desire to do other things. So I think it was just showing through sheer, work and effort that I achieved this. I also like to achieve this. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break. I want to touch back on that, especially your overcoming adversity and how you've been able to transition successfully into the professional field and into your passion, which we're going to get back to in just a second on Spotlight with Jalal Dallo of Dallo Martial Arts. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back. We're here with Jalal Dallo of Dallo Martial Arts. Jay, we were just talking about in the previous segment some of the successes that martial arts has led you to in your professional career. I'd like to talk about a little bit of the adversity that you had to overcome, especially in not only training in martial arts and practicing law and doing that successfully, but also having to overcome some of the adversity at your studio where you trained for several years under Sifu Dan Inasano. Give us a little bit about your experience at the other studio and why there was a need to create Dallo Martial Arts.
I think, well, the thing is, at my Sifu, my guru, you also call him guru under Filipino martial arts and things like that, he's based out of Los Angeles. So under Inasano, the Grand Master, he's there, and I wanted to also provide something here on a more permanent basis. So it was important for me to then, with his permission and everything, open up a school here and kind of be one of his locations where if he's coming here for a seminar or something like that, he could come out here and do that. I also there's an instructor here, David Hatch, who's based out of Canton, and he's been training under Guru Dan Inasano since the 80s. And actually, it was David Hatch was actually the catalyst and the reason that we even are able to train with Inasano. So I am very grateful that we have an instructor here in Michigan that's certified under Guru Dan Inasano, and is one of the directors here in Michigan that allows me to have a school here and to operate it here.
So just for the connection, it's Bruce Lee, it's Dan Inasano,
Yeah.
and it's Jalal Dallo.
Yeah,
That's
pretty.
the
Yeah,
tree.
and you can look at it a couple different ways, because that's correct lineage. So Sijo Bruce, and Sijo means creator of an art or founder of the art. Then you have, to me, my Sifu Dan Inasano. Sifu, literally in the Chinese, in the Cantonese, Si means teacher, Fu means father. That's how highly they regard their instructors in that part of the world. Sifu, teacher, father, teacher. And so so that's Sifu Dan. So Sijo, then Sifu Dan, then Jay. And Jay, myself, I'm a Sifu of my own school. So my students call me Sifu, which is, I think, just is beautiful. You know, when they look at you in that way, it's also at the same time a big responsibility, because they look to you to guide them in these mysterious arts. You know what I mean? They look to you for these things, and that's what makes it beautiful. That's the one lineage. Another lineage would be, you have Sijo Bruce, so you have Bruce Lee, right? Then you have Dan Inasano, you have Guru Dan Inasano. And as I mentioned before, David Hatch, who would also be in there as an instructor under Dan Inasano, because Dave Hatch knew Inasano before I did, or before I was acquainted with him. And it's through David Hatch that I'm able to be in the position that I'm in, you see. So we also have to kind of pay respect to that lineage too, where it goes Bruce Lee, Dan Inasano, David Hatch, Jay Dallo. So
And
there's
so
two different guys.
the previous studio that you were training at before you developed Dallo
Oh,
Martial
okay.
Arts,
Yeah.
why did you find the need to develop your own studio? What was transitioning there, or what were you looking for out of Dallo Martial Arts to provide to the world that you saw was lacking at your former studio?
So when I saw there was like a dwindling student base. So all I wanted to do was open up school and just make it student centered. I wanted to be about them and what their needs were as students, and to be able to cater to those needs and to be a guide to those students. That's what I would have to really say about that. My goal is to put more positive energy into the world, and instead of like looking back or anything like that, to keep going forward and to just put more positivity in a more student-centered school. Yeah.
So what can students expect as a member or as a student of Dallo Martial Arts?
Well, they can expect to come in to always be greeted with respect and kindness, welcome into a very clean facility. And when you get down to it, because we can talk about two things. We can talk about what kind of martial art training are they getting, okay? Instead of, friendly place, a fun place, that's all good and well and fine, and it should be like that, a clean place, a well-lit place, a safe place. You need those things. But we still haven't talked about the quality of martial arts, right? So that's one. Number two is, what's the point? So you have the quality of martial arts, but what are we doing all this for? Well, I'm not going into a war anytime soon, and I also don't plan on getting into a fight. Which in some people's mind might think, well, isn't martial arts about fighting? In fact, that's funny, because I gave a talk at Orchard Lake Middle School, and I always ask the kids, I say, when I say martial arts, what do you guys think of? And there's always at least one student up there raises his hand, and it's so beautiful, because they want to answer, they want to know. So they say, well, it's about fighting, So which I can understand that. But I think even adults, like those of us who aren't versed in martial arts, who haven't studied the philosophies, well, they think it's about fighting. Well, a fight, if your martial arts world is this big, the fight is maybe, and getting into an actual fight is like a pinpoint, right? Because it's not like you're getting into a fight every day. So just that sort of thing. So you have those two things. You have martial arts. So what do they expect? Expect to come in and meet somebody who's been training with love and passion in martial arts and trying to develop proper form and technique. Not learning something from his teacher and then saying, yep, I got it, and then not training it or teaching it accurately. So I train the technique myself. I'm always training and developing.
How many days a week are you there?
I'm in some form or fashion, I'm doing work for Dallo Martial Arts every single day. 7 days a week. So it's not, because it's not just about physical presence. I'll be there. I can be there 5 days a week, because I have Nick Cavallino. I've known him for 15, 16 years. He's also been training for that long.
I think we have a picture of you and Nick that we'll put up on the screen right now to show people who Nick is. 'Cause
that's right.
He's there a lot too, and he's helping you guys out. And
that's right.
He's really developing a good system for you under your stewardship, under your leadership.
Right.
And
awesome guy.
It's been great to see what you've done over there in just a short period of time. I remember coming in, I think it was in December.
That's right.
And I swore I was ready for it, but the next day I remember my muscles were telling me in places that I hadn't felt before.
Yeah.
Welcome to Dallo Martial Arts.
Right. I remember you told me the next day, you were like, holy cow. And I'm thinking, wow, Derek, because you train and you're always very active and physically fit and things like that. For someone like you who trains with professional athletes, for you to say, whoa, over just doing footwork, this specific kind of footwork that we were doing, it's pretty cool, so I hope you had a good time. So the importance of that is, when I teach, I want to make sure that I am giving to my students proper technique under the proper context, knowing the history. I like to delve into it that way. I don't like to just teach and I don't know kind of where it's from and things like that. I'm kind of a nerd about these. I'm very nerdy about these things,
Mm-hmm.
So I really get into the history and how and why, and proper movement, proper footwork, proper body placement. It's not, when it comes to weaponry, it's not just about swinging sticks or swords or things like that. When it comes to the boxing, you got to have good technique. I don't want my students to be injured. I don't want them to get hurt. What I find is there's a lot of guys, a lot of veterans in the martial arts, they've got these nagging injuries that, to be honest with you, they're preventable. They were preventable. If you just practice proper form, you can train this for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? I know guys that they got ACL, they got knee issues, they got this, and I'm thinking, well, was it a skiing accident? Was something? No, they were training wrong. And man, I'm fortunate at my age now. I'm 38 years old. I've been training, and I try to train safely, and try to give something to my students that is precise. So, and that's what brings me to the other thing. Why are they coming? You see, what you find is, for those of us who go to the gym, maybe we just want to work out or whatever it is, that's our goal. I feel that martial arts brings you something different. Martial arts, you have a guide. The gym, you can go in and out. Nobody cares or notices whether you came. It's you, which is beautiful. But martial arts, you actually have a guide who is taking some responsibility for your growth. But what are you growing into? What's the point of you learning punching and kicking? Hopefully you never have to use it. So there was a wise instructor that once said, when asked by a student, he said, "It is not the highest honor to fight 100 battles and win all 100. The highest honor is to subdue your opponents without ever fighting." So if you follow that philosophy, you realize I hopefully never get into a fight. So that's the whole fight thing, right? So what are you doing with the rest of martial arts? Self-expression, finding out who you are, growing, working out, releasing stress, becoming a better person, having discipline, having coordination. On the windows at my academy, across the windows in big letters, it doesn't say all the names of the arts that we do. Those are in small letters on the door. But on the big windows, you know what it says? It says self-defense. It says fitness. It says family, humility, discipline, respect. Those are the words on the window panels of the academy in big letters, so you can hopefully see them from the road. Because I want people to see, because these are the things that resonate with us. Names of martial arts, as much as I love them and I study them and everything, that's not the end goal.
You got a lot of passion for what you do, and it certainly comes out in the way you're describing what you teach and what people are learning from your vast knowledge. We're going to take a little break. We're going to come right back. I got to get a commercial in, but I want to come back and I want to talk to the type of students that you're looking to help and empower, what their benefit can be outside of martial arts and application to regular day life. We'll get back in just a minute with Jay Dallo of Dallo Martial Arts tonight on Spotlight. Thank you. Welcome back on Spotlight on MEA TV. We're here with Jay Dallo of Dallo Martial Arts, discussing Jalal's new business and his passion for over 20 years, which is been involved in the martial arts, and now it's in helping others empower themselves, teaching them discipline, teaching them everything except fighting. We're not teaching them about fighting. The fighting is a portion of what you're teaching them, but it's more about discipline. It's more about helping them help themselves through hard work, through commitment, through discipline, through sacrifice. Obviously, in the last segment, we really got a good feel for your passion about empowering students and your passion of the arts. I'd like to talk more now about the types of students that would be a good fit for Dallo Martial Arts. Who can you help? What kind of person can you look at and say, you know, this is the kind of person that should be a Dallo Martial Arts student? Who are you looking to help?
Really, it's everybody, because I've said this before, martial arts is for everybody. I don't feel it should. I don't feel that martial arts should discriminate against anybody or leave anybody out, and that includes, you know, you have typical people and you have special people. You know, so it's important for everybody. There's a way to use martial arts to help anybody. Someone who's physically, who has physical needs, someone who, you know, anyone with special needs, and then of course your typical, which is for the rest of us. Age doesn't matter. My school right now, I have students in their 60s, and my youngest student is under 3. He's 2 years.
Under 3?
Yeah.
What are they learning under 3?
So he's not going to learn complicated technical material, right? Mm-hmm. So the most important thing for him right now at this age is we actually have him moving around. We teach him how to do physical activity that's also teaching at the same time. For example, we might have him get into a certain stance, a boxer stance or some martial arts stance, and teaching him, okay, left foot forward. So we go over, what's the left foot? We have him do sets of something, like running and coming back and punching this little this bag that we have, and this punching shield that we have, and he'll kick it and punch it, and we have him count. So he's learning counting, and he's learning colors, because we'll have him always ask him what the color of this is or that is as he does his stuff. So that's our youngest students. We have a couple at that age, at just at 3 and under, actually.
Wow, I had no idea that it would appeal to children.
Yes, big time.
That's not even a child. That's like a bona fide baby, 3
totally.
years old. I mean, you're...
Yeah, and the parents are there, and they watch, and those classes are shorter classes. Usually we have classes that run, you know, about an hour long. When you are dealing with children at that age, it's a 30-minute class. You know, they need a break, and then they can only absorb so much, and you can't have them going for 60 minutes. It's a lot. So we do that, and so we have those ages. In the age range, we try to take, you know, it all. I think that would probably be the lowest right there at 3 or just under 3, and then as high as up as you can go, because, you know, we have people that have back issues, foot injuries where they can barely walk on one foot, spinal issues, crushed hip issues they need surgery on. But martial arts, if you train it, doesn't always have to demand, you know, it's not a school where you have to do a jumping spin kick in order to pass the test. You don't have to. You can go over the proper forms, understand technique. There's always ways to train in martial arts. Not all of it is for the fight game, to be a good fighter. It's to just do one certain thing. You can learn many things.
And so you mentioned maybe people struggling with weight issues might be a good candidate for you?
Absolutely. So, you know, we've had students that, since training with us, have lost in the tens of pounds, 10, 20, 30, and up. One of our commercials has a young lady saying that since she started training, she lost 70 pounds.
Wow.
7-0. So it's pretty awesome, because this is the thing. Again, it goes back to that discipline, that self-control, and things like that, because she didn't lose it by by her training in the gym. What it made her do is she would train with us at the studio, and then when she would go home, she would make wiser decisions when it came to what she was going to consume. She made wiser decisions. Then she'd come and train with us. She felt better training with us, and it was a virtuous, beautiful cycle in her life. So that's what's happening.
And this is direct correlation to the teachings of Dallo Martial Arts, to the instruction by you and by Nick. And this is exactly what you're helping other people do. You're helping them empower them to take their life back, teaching them self-defense, teaching them discipline, and holding them accountable, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, there's a Taoist saying, because I don't want to take all of the I don't want to take all the credit for it, but there's a saying in Taoism that says, you know, a teacher is just a guide. He shows you the door, or he shows you the path to take. It's you as a student, you choose to take the path. So you're the one that put in the work. I was your guide. So yes, you know, you did the work, but that, in my mind, it's important also to have a good sifu, to have a good instructor, because they're going to show you the right road, or they're going to show you a road that doesn't work for you. You know what I mean? So it's good to have a good sifu, but man, I give my students a lot of the credit too.
I think we can expect that Jay Dallo is an incredible sifu, and I've witnessed it firsthand. And I think for anybody looking for a change in their workout, a change in their lifestyle and their commitments, I think visiting Dallo Martial Arts will certainly help empower you for discipline, for sacrifice, to teach you all those important arts that are applicable to every area of our lives. And sometimes you just need a starting point. And so today we want to challenge you to give Dallo Martial Arts a try. They can like you on Facebook, right?
Absolutely.
Dallo
like us on
Martial Arts.
Facebook, yeah.
And then your website is www.dallomartialarts.com.
You got it.
They
yeah.
could call you. What's the number?
The number is 248-223-7000.
Mention that you saw the clip on MEA TV and radio, and you
Sure.
can give them some kind of a special
Yeah,
offer.
they can come in. I can tell you right now, they'll come in for a free introductory lesson, find out everything about us. We'll train them. They'll get a free one-on-one lesson with me or with Nick, my assistant instructor, and we'll go from there. We'll take care of them.
Can they get a discount on a DUI or anything like that?
Why not? Why not? If they become if they need to be a client of mine on the other side, which is the legal side, happy to take care of them.
All kidding aside, Jay is an excellent attorney, and he's somebody in our community that we should be very proud of. Not only does he defend people in court, he also teaches them self-defense and teaches them how to empower themselves in their lives and people to take back some control. So we appreciate what you're doing. It's amazing to see. We want to refer children to you. We want to refer our family and friends over to you, and I think you need to keep it up. You're a great example of somebody that can be committed on a professional side and on the passion side, and it's just amazing to see what you've done in just so little time, and we expect nothing but the best out of you.
Thank you so much. Very grateful. Very kind words, Derek. Thank you so much.
Keep it up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And that was Jay Dallo interview Spotlight with MEA TV and radio. Visit him online, www.dallomartialarts.com. Check him out on Facebook. And you heard him here tonight. Anybody that calls in at 248-223-7000 will get a free session to give it a try.
That's
right
right.
down the road on Northwestern Highway in Southfield. Appreciate you joining and checking us out, and we'll see you soon.